Welcome to Headliner Radio. I'm your host, Will Hawkins. Today we're at the Harman Experience Center in Los Angeles, California, where I'm with an incredible singer-songwriter who's built an amazing following on social media and on YouTube. Grace's recent single, Like a Person, is available on all streaming services. Please welcome Grace Gaustad.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Well, it was an amazing performance that we just heard from you. You want to talk about that song and what influenced you in order to write it?
Yeah, so the song I played here today is called Nothing to Me, and it is the 8th single off of my album PILLBX, What's Your Fantasy? And Nothing to Me is a song that's all about just sort of when someone's really done, something a little wrong to you, and you got to reclaim your power, and you got to sort of get rid of that person in your life, get rid of that negative energy, and sort of come back to yourself. So you got to own that you mean nothing to me. You got to let them go. And so the song is really about just regaining your power as an individual.
Those are really wise words. One's as an adult, I'm just recently learning to express myself that way and how powerful the word no even can be, to say no to things. Where were you able to get the strength and really get the insight to be able to be so clear about your intentions so early in your life?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm an only child, so I grew up with a lot of adults. I spent a lot of time with my mom and sort of watching her work and interact with people all the time. And so I think that I learned some skill sets much earlier than a lot of people, just because I really did spend a lot of time with mostly adults. And also I've been working in music since I was in my first studio probably 8 or 9 years old.
Wow.
So, I've been around a little longer than people would think.
Where did that influence come from? Are either your parents artists or musicians?
Not professionally. My mom is a very, very good piano player and singer and a writer, and she's always just done it as a hobby. And my dad actually has a really good voice, but he's exclusive to the shower.
So what kind of music influence did you have growing up? What kind of music were you hearing in the house while you were a kid?
Gosh, I had a really large variety of music because I had my parents' catalog, and so that was the Beatles and the Stones and Michael Jackson and Madonna. So I had, all this great sort of older music, and then I also was listening to Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift and Katy Perry and, all these huge sort of pop names that were coming up. And so I really had a very unique combination of two completely different catalogs that sort of came together to form, I guess, what I would consider my own taste.
So how old were you when you first started recording music?
Recording, probably 8 or 9. Writing, though, I was writing my own music by 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't have a very big vocabulary to write music, but I did my best.
And then you had a viral video, Hosier's song. And
Yeah.
how old were you when that came out? That was 2016.
I was 16 when
Wow.
that happened. Yeah, it's an amazing song. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I knew from the moment I heard it, I was I want to cover it, I want to sing it. And, I put it up online, and it ended up getting on a viral sort of Spotify playlist. And that's sort of where all the traction came from. And then, a lot of views from there.
And how did you use that? Were you starting to release more of your own music after that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that most artists tend to start out with singing covers, and I think that's a wonderful idea. I think there's no better way to learn music and learn how to write music and sing it than, studying from other musicians. And so, yeah, once I saw the success with the Take Me to Church video, I was like, okay, I really want to work on my own craft and release my own songs and, continue to build off of this momentum.
And how did you use social media in order to elevate what you had already started doing with the original video? How do you maintain your social media?
It's hard. Maintaining social media is really hard. It's a lot of content. For me, I've done a lot of music videos, and that's sort of my area and thing that I use to keep everybody up to date, to keep releasing music. Some of the videos are as stripped back as, just me at a piano, and some of the videos are, my albums, which are 12, 13 song anthology projects. They're linear, and it's like watching a little movie on YouTube.
And it's interesting you would say that, because I've been watching your videos over the last week to be able to be slightly prepared for this today. and they are very cinematic. So what goes into like the creative of that when it comes to creating the narratives of that? Do you have a team that works with you, or is that mostly you that's coming up with that?
Gosh, I do a lot of thinking like in the middle of my, bedroom, middle of the night. PILLBX was, or I guess I'll start with Black Box. Black Box, my first album, was conceptualized at probably 2 or 3 in the morning. It was 3 days before Christmas. I didn't have a present for my mom. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I put together this whole album and book, and I spent 3 days painting all these pictures and this whole thing. And I handed her like a stack like this big of work. And I was like, oh, Merry Christmas. Like, this is your Christmas gift. And she's like, what? You know what I mean? So she cries for days afterwards. And then, I'm like, I need you to help me turn this into something real. And so, we kind of put our heads together and brought in some wonderful creative people. Van Alpert, my director, he's incredible. Joe Baker, my makeup artist, who helped design all the crazy looks from the videos. And we also have a makeup line coming out called Bake Up, which is super exciting. And, it sort of like started with Black Box. I conceptualized that, found a great team. And then again, middle of the night, thinking to myself, thought about PILLBX and just started executing and sort of, sharing with everyone the vision for that. And we all kind of put our heads together and made something super magical. So I'm excited about it.
And it really is. I mean, the cinematography and the storylines are beautiful. And it's something that you clearly have a great vision, not just in your music, but also in the way that you present yourself on these videos. Let's take a step back for a second and talk about your songwriting process. Like, what does that look like for you?
It's very chaotic. I'm like one of those musicians. I don't think that I necessarily have a pattern or a process. I kind of am someone who just, I'll write stuff down all day long. Little things that I think of, little notes, little whatever's. I'll, pick up my phone and hum 5 seconds of something into it. And all of a sudden, you have this like well of information and ideas. And so then when I do go to write or, produce a song or anything like that, I've already got all these little teeny starting points. So I'll go back and I'll say, oh, what was that I sang in the car earlier? Let me grab it and then turn it into a full song. So it's all very, very chaotic, and I try to keep it fun. I don't believe in rules when it comes to songwriting.
And then as far as going into the studio and taking that song and taking that idea, and then what does that look like? Like having that demo and then going in with your producer, what is that process like for you?
It sort of depends. Some songs that I've written myself, I'll bring into a producer, and then other times I've got a collaborator in Scott Effman who did a lot of the PILLBX songs with me. We sit in a room together, we write, we record same day, we do production, so like we work really fast. So it kind of just depends on the situation, but I definitely just love writing songs, so as many as I can sort of get done, and kind of, like you said, like the demos. It's very special to have a demo. I think that all artists are really like, there's a thing called demoitis, and that's like me for sure. I like fall in love with them, and that's how I know what needs to go on the projects. It's the demos that I can't ever put down.
Well, these songs become our children.
Exactly.
Right? And then we have to trust the people who we hand them off to, almost like teachers. When we hand them off at school, it's like, what are you going to do with this? And what am I going to get back with it? You spent some time in New York City.
I did, yes. I went to high school there.
So what was your experience as a musician in New York City?
I think I got a lot of, I sort of built my chops, I guess, in New York, per se. I started, working like religiously after school. I would go and I'd go downtown and I'd go record for like 4 and 5 hours. And then, I met my vocal coach, Don Lawrence, who's trained some of the best singers ever, like Lady Gaga, Christina Aguilera, like these crazy names. And I go in and I audition for Don. I'm 13 years old, and I'm like shaking, right? And I'll never forget, he's like, you're not great, but you're good. And so I'll take you. And now 8 years later, Don and I are like super close. He's like a second dad to me. And, my time in New York with Don, he really made me great. He forced me to be great. He he made me work really hard, and I will forever be grateful for those years because it made me a much better artist.
Well, someone can turn something good into great. So he recognized that at least there was something to work with there.
Absolutely.
What was your first live performance like?
Gosh, I did some live stuff when I was like really young. Like I think like 13 was the first ever time I actually like got on a stage and like sang for an audience of people, and that was at a charity event at the Christopher Reeve Foundation. And then I did my first like headlining show myself at the Whiskey A Go Go here in Los Angeles, and that was when I was 17.
That small little venue that no one knows.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah. What was it like finding your gender identity? As far as this is a big part of your music, it's a big part of like who you are and your activism. At what age were you starting to be able to embrace that and really stand on it?
You know, I think that I was really able to sort of find myself through music, find myself through art. It was always a huge place of expression for me. And so it all really stems from there. I was very lucky in that I had a mom who was very supportive of me very young. She wanted me to be educated about anything and everything. So she never really kept anything off limits. She just wanted to tell me the truth and tell it like it is. And I think, you know, she did such a good job raising me. I never felt like it was unsafe to be myself. I never felt like I couldn't share with her things that I was feeling or dealing with. And I think that, you know, it's really important now as times are sort of changing. I certainly see a lot of young people who are not necessarily conforming to, you know, the things that society has known now for so long. And I think it's really important to, you know, be representation for the next sort of generation of kids that are going to come up. And I think it really is just like, you got to be who you are, and that shouldn't bother anybody else.
No,
in my
agreed.
opinion, you know, it's like, as long as everyone can sort of love and like respect each other for whatever those choices may be, I think that's really very important. And I hope that we as a society, you know, in the next however many years can kind of get there where we just love people for who they are and how they want to, you know, present and represent themselves. And that should be it. It should be about being
it
a
seems
good person.
that Gen Z really embraces it and supports it and promotes it in ways that previous generations, including my own, took time to be able to do.
Yeah.
So it's really impressive. And I know that your work with Dylan is really important to you as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney is a great friend. She is absolutely wonderful. She's had a sort of major success story on TikTok, and she was in my video for Like a Person, which is a song that is for the community, the LGBTQ plus community. It's really like a song, you know, we welcome you here, you're safe here. You know, we want you to feel like you have a place to belong. And so Dylan and I are very similar in our messaging in that we really believe it's time to sort of lose the labels, drop all the chaos. She's Dylan, I'm Grace. That should be it. You know,
Right.
That should be enough. It should be enough that we're just two creators, two people. And, you know, we might not look exactly like everybody else, and that's totally okay. And I'm really happy that someone like Dylan has, you know, really grown quite a large platform, because I think it's really important for young kids to have all sorts of role models from all walks of life. And I love to see, you know, representation for everybody in media.
Totally agree. And I just think it was amazing to see how that popularity and support that she received allowed her to get to the White House and be able to have her words heard, not just by her fans, but also people who maybe she wouldn't have the opportunity to speak to, and do that standing next to President Biden was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Dylan's kind of got a bit of a Cinderella story. You know, it's sort of crazy. I actually found her videos, gosh, back when she was in like the early, maybe like couple 100,000 people, and now it's like 10 million, 11 million. I have no idea. But yeah, she's wonderful. And I think that, like I said, it's great to have someone, you know, now so present in media that can really be representation for a lot of people.
What's next for you? What can we hope to see from you in 2023?
Well, PILLBX, my album, will continue rolling out in 2023. We've got a ton of songs left still, a ton of videos, a lot of storyline and plot still to uncover. And then, I'm sort of one of those people, I just keep releasing things.
That's great.
So I'll never stop. 2023 will go, and we'll go into 2024, and more songs will come, and that's just, I can't stop creating. So
that's fantastic. And for our viewers, where can they find you online?
All my social media, my YouTube, it's all under my name, Grace Gaustad. Also, Black Box, PILLBX, those are my 2 albums as well. And that's pretty much it. Those are all the places.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. This is Will Hawkins from Headliner Magazine, and we will see you next time.
Bye.